Hello everyone, welcome to Ansarkari. So today we'll be taking up the newspaper for 20th September. So the first article talks about acclamation for an Indian leadership that still endures. So this is about the visit of Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. So who talked about towards a rising global south, and he talked about Malaysia and India ties. So he talked about empowering global south and unity amidst the diversity differences that we have. And he said ki the rise of global south does not mean that we exclude the global north, but we it basically means that we work together and within our complex strategic context. So he also praised India's role in imparting energy to the evolution of the position of global south, and talked about India's G20 leadership chairmanship last year and to shape the global south with partners hand in hand. And apart from that, he also talked about leaders who have formed India into the country that it is today. Talked about Jawaharlal Nehru and his reputation that he held abroad. Then Bharatiya Janata Party also and the role that it plays. Apart from that, he also recalled Nehru's association with Malaysia's first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman, and Nehru's speech, A Tryst with Destiny, so which talked about bringing freedom and opportunity to the common man and peasants and workers of India. So it basically it said ki bringing power with everything, and he said ki the speech that he gave long ago is still relevant today. And he also quoted Swami Vivekanand on the march of ideas from his This Land Accompanied, which talks about peace and blessings. Then, so his reference to Swami Vivekanand, Gandhi, Tagore, and Nehru, it points to the difficulty of the Sangh Parivar and uh, broader view में if we talk about, so it's talking see कि इंडिया की present policies क्या है which ensures की power है digital technologies की which are harnessing for the popular welfare, gaining the positive attention of the global south. Or these are basically practical measures which have great importance in the lives of impoverished everywhere, and they're important for the governance. So for an admiration here, but in the more realm of the political and social philosophies and the ideologies on which Gandhiji, Nehruji, and all of them were based was, as Ms. Ranba mentioned. So they contribute to the conspiracies of left liberals.
So we can also talk this in the context of like present times. What is the shape of relationship between India and Malaysia? So one, we share the ancient trade routes from like they're passing from the Malacca Strait, which is again known as one of the most important choke points in the Indo-Pacific region. So ancient times we were having trade in textiles, spices, and the precious metals. And also Indian diaspora, it is Malaysia is home to India's large Indian origin population. They're predominantly they are Tamil speaking people. So they went there during the British colonial period. And from the perspective of the festivals and the Indian culture, so we see that Indian culture has influenced the Malaysian culture in terms of we are celebrating Deepavali, which is a Thaipusam there. Then economic relationship, we have CESA, which is Comprehensive Cooperation Agreement with Malaysia. Right now, our bilateral trade stands at $20 billion. And as we know, that India is importing 60% of its edible oil imports. So the major one comes from Malaysia and Indonesia. So here, this thing has also led to concern that the the oil industry, the edible oil industry in Malaysia and Indonesia, they are doing more of deforestation, which is again destroying the habitat, the natural habitat of orangutans. So this is one of the concerns, how we can do that in a sustainable manner. And plus, India is focusing simultaneously upon increasing the domestic capacity, the domestic production under the National Oil Seed Mission. Then, from the perspective of strategic and defense cooperation, we are having joint military exercises with Malaysia, for example. One is the Samudra Lakshman, which is the naval exercise, and the joint air force exercise is known as Hari Mau Shakti. So these are important from the perspective of even prelims. And definitely security cooperation also, because we are talking about the Indo-Pacific region. So that is again, we are having shared concerns because of unilateral actions by China. And also we are cooperating through ASEAN also. Although India is not a permanent member of ASEAN, but Malaysia is. So we are one of the observer states. And even from the perspective of tourism also, Malaysia is important. So we see around 7 lakh Indian tourists, they visit Malaysia uh, before COVID times. So this is there. So palm oil trade dispute we have talked about. And even we are cooperating in technology and science sector. So like our space agency ISRO, the Malaysia, they are cooperating and collaborating with us. And then we have IT and software sector.
Next article talks about white revolution. So white revolution was associated with increasing the milk production in the country, and it was also known as Operation Flood. And it was basically intended to make India self-dependent nation in milk production. So over here, our Home Minister Amit Shah he talks about launching White Revolution 2.0, where he says ki, milk diaries they will aid empowerment to women. So he talks about collaborating women empowerment with White Revolution, and this will help in the inclusion of women in procurement of milk in the formal employment, as and they'll get money in their bank accounts. So this scheme aims at increasing the procurement, which would be led by cooperatives from the present 660 lakh liters per day to 1,000 lakh liters. And fisheries, animal husbandry, dairying, and Panchayati Raj, they were also present at the launch. So he said in the last 70 years, there has been changes, necessary changes in cooperatives that were not made, due to which the bodies they became very successful in some states and some were left. So government has prepared basically a joint proposal of the 2 lakh primary agriculture cooperative societies, dairy and fishery cooperatives, and sent it across the country. So this ministry said that cooperatives will be able to reach the whole country, which will lead to the creation of a cooperative institute at the ground level, tehsil in the district level, and state institutions. So they will gain maximum strength and momentum. So we can have the movement in whole country at the same time and include women empowerment as well as white revolution, so increasing the milk production.
So, in short, if we say that White Revolution 2.0, it will be driven by technological advancements, sustainability, it would be more consumer centric with more innovations. And then we can say modernizing the production, improving milk quality, and empowering the dairy farmers so that we can collectively enhance the standard of living of the people, the productivity to boost more of exports, and thirdly, also address the concerns related to national security.
Next article, A Walk on the Flowery Isle. So this talks about the flower market in Delhi, Gazipur flower market, and how it opens early into the day, and it's mostly for decor for parties, weddings. S- And the market was earlier located in Connaught Place before it was shifted to Ghazipur in 2011. And before 1997, the flower market was scattered in different areas. So that included Mehrauli, Chandni Chowk, Ladu Sarai, and Fatehpuri. So there were a few families who got together to bring the flower business under one roof in CP. And as the flower business picked up and the market expanded, it was relocated in Ghazipur 13 years ago in a consolidated business zone.
So here we can relate this with the India's floriculture and horticulture industry, where we are again one of the second largest producer in the world. So we can talk about making them more organized and more formal through digitization, through again having a proper, we can say, like it is temporary in nature in terms of where it is present. So we can strengthen more the role of even the MSME sector. So more digitization or even social security benefits can be given. And in terms of again floriculture, also we can talk about the importance of climate resilient varieties and the role of genetic engineering here. And few days ago we were again talking about the mushroom cultivation by the women in the hilly states in Uttarakhand and even in Himachal Pradesh. So honey industry or mushrooms. So these are very, very important even when we're talking from the perspective of addressing nutritional security also. And from the perspective of floriculture, we can say that if the sector is formalized properly, then it would also lead to their economic security and stability as well. And cold storages, they'll be very important in terms of increasing the shelf life also. And we can say that we can also promote more contract farming in these sectors, so that would be again having promising benefits for them. And India's again, we are having more diversity in this case also.
The next article, Keeping Time, talks about Yuvraj Singh's cricketer on his cancer charity UB Can. So he mentors young kid from his home state to travel the world to play golf, and he being a cancer survivor, so he believes in early detection is the key in such patients. So he talks about um, launching a breast surveillance program, which is aimed at screening 1.5 lakh women for breast cancer across 15 states over a year. So they also work with children who are below the poverty line, and they offer scholarships to these children, helping them to go back to school. And they've treated over 100 children for cancer. And he also has a biopic coming up. This was mostly about it. Next article, Art in Contemplation. So this shows artist Anuj Prasad, who shows a solo show Mystic Miniature, vibrant colors. This article talks about plays, theater thrills. So there's this upcoming theater center, India Habitat Center Theater Festival, which will showcase the culture and concerns of the northeastern states in a non-verbal play. And so the government over the years has mentioned sanctioned 6 dams in the state with the promise of providing drinking water for irrigation, water, electricity to the farmers. And so far, only the drinking water problem has been partially solved. And Victor, he prefers working with the body but does not negate the sound in written text. So he says कि this play was first staged in Imphal in January, and arts, it could be Catholic, and it could help bring people together. It could help spread awareness. It could um, show the rich culture of Manipur via dance, music, theater, and that's mostly the aim. And that's it. Did you want to add something?
We can say that like there is craze for watching movies, but we do not have that much interest when it comes to watching the theater plays. So it is firstly not seen from the perspective of the lens again that the strong messages that they spread. So how can we promote more of such theater shows? Can be one of the things to again send the message at the large scale. So can we have more of theater plays, even like somewhere facilities around the cinema halls or something can be created there. So that can have also one of the we can say major impact because they are have giving us strong messages, which is important even from the perspective of sustainable development overall, how they can impact the consumer behavior and the attitude.
How Kerala reduced mortality from amoebic meningitis. So, primary meningoencephalitis is caused by infection with the Nalgera floweri, which is a microscopic amoeba and commonly referred to as the brain-eating amoeba. This infection, it destroys the brain tissue and it causes brain swelling and death in most cases. So this is very rare and it usually occurs in healthy children, teens, and young adults, and it also has a high fatality rate. Uh, So it's caused by free living amoeba, which are found in freshwater lakes and rivers. And public health experts says that the infection was parodic and it did nothing to ease the public anxiety because of the frequency with which it was being reported in the state from various districts. And most affected were the young children from aged 5 to 15. So, despite reporting an unusually high number of 19 cases of amoebic meningitis in 5 months, Kerala has managed to create medical history of sorts, and it managed to save 14 out of the 19 cases, which brought down the mortality rate from the global rate of 97% to 26%, and which is a unique feat for Kerala. And this would ensure global literature on the disease and was a huge learning experience in itself. So it could show that we could identify and treat early and fighting chance to save patients with amoebic meningoencephalitis. And the infection it usually deteriorates so fast that there is no therapeutic window for clinical to intervene. They started to report from North Kerala in May, June, and all clinical features they were suggestive of PAM, which is a disease which is caused by the Naegleria fowleri, which is a microscopic amoeba. And the state then set up an experts group which brought out technical guidelines on the prevention, diagnosis, and the treatment. So, what is PAM? It is a disease, and this infection it destroys the brain tissue. It causes several severe brain swelling and death in most cases. So, only
So
11.
here that these steps that were taken by Kerala were on the immediate basis. They played very important role. The robustness of the healthcare ecosystem and the proper environment which is there, the infrastructure that came to immediate action. And still we are focusing and still we are working upon the genome sequencing right now, and that would be playing more important role from the perspective of better understanding the disease and how it spreads, and how we can reduce this in future, how we can reduce the fatality rate more. So role of, we can say that the ICMR is very important, National Institute of Virology, which is there in Pune. It becomes important, and awareness generation or training when we're talking about the primary healthcare centers, that is also important because they have issued the guidelines. So at the pan India level, what we can learn from the Kerala experience, that also becomes very important, and that needs to be implemented also. So these can be some of the important areas. So usually we have seen that it used to spread from swimming pools, swimming, or because the brain eating amoeba was present in such stagnant water. So how that is taken care of by using again proper like spraying exercises, so that the amoeba, they do not, such types of amoeba do not grow in the water.
Present in most water bodies except in chlorinated water. And the state is focused on creating IEC campaigns for public, which would narrow down the possible risk, and it could incorporate the new learnings that would emerge from the encounter. And precautions basically specify that no one should dive headlong into the water bodies, and it's safer to use nasal plugs while swimming. The next article talks about true cost of hospital acquired infection. So, high profile medico legal cases have emerged in Mumbai, and an orthopedic surgeon and a well known hospital has faced litigation due to the post operative infections which followed after a knee replacement. And in Bangalore, also a similar thing happened where the patient was in ICU and developed ventilator associated Acinetobacter pneumonia, which was a serious HAI, hospitalized acquired infection. And despite hospital's reputation where they should ensure high standard of care, so it talked about the family, the extra burden the family would get after this. And the family says if the um, case was due to HAI, hospital acquired, then the bill should be given by the hospital. And both Mumbai and Bangalore, the cases illustrate common but critical challenges which are faced in the healthcare system, mostly in accredited hospitals, and they reflect key broader issue care management, financial implications for the patient, or ethical considerations of the healthcare delivery. And HAI are infections that patients acquire while they're receiving treatments for medical or surgical conditions, and they're common in among the most common complications within healthcare settings. Significantly,
So
they
we are talking about what can be the solution. So like when we're talking about the AMR, antimicrobial resistance, like we have the banks for the banking sector, we have again accreditations for the universities. So here it is talking about that the hospitals in India, we need to obtain, or the hospitals need to obtain the Joint Commission International accreditation. And this is that this should be made an obligation, should be made mandatory for them So they will be publicly disclosing their hospital acquired infection rate. So one will be having proper data. So through all these national accreditation board for hospitals in India, accredited hospitals will be also able to know the better standards and how we can further improve, ensuring that the HAI is almost negligible. So this would become a quality indicator data on monthly basis. And apart from this, we can say the role of Indian Council of Medical Research, National Center for Disease Control. Their role would also be very important in terms of like having a common platform and they taking the like resolution oriented steps. So they need to properly firstly follow the JCI benchmarks.
The article talks about food processing sector, which saw wide-ranging reforms in the past 10 years. So it talks about reforms to transform the food processing sector in the last 10 years through multi-dimensional initiatives, just say 100% FDI in food processing. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, which is formalization of the micro food processing enterprises. उसके अलावा production linked incentive scheme for food processing in the industries and creating a strong ecosystem of modern infrastructure, robust supply chains, employment generations across the country. Now, the participation of several nations in the World Food India 2024 showcases as a vibrant platform for the brightest mind in global food industries and talks about increasing opportunities, share, and engaging in a two-way learning from each other experiences. Talking about India, to Indian food ecosystem, the backbone is the farmer, and supporting their hard work can be done with innovative policies and focusing on implementation. So efforts are to ensure that India sets a global benchmark for innovation, sustainability, and safety in the food sector. And World Food India is now right now ideal platform to work with the world through B2B interactions. And so the government's commitment to secure good quality food for domestic and global consumers, which could ensure a hunger-free world and welfare of farmers through initiatives which would aim at boosting the incomes, improving their access to technology, and providing fair prices for the produce. This was mostly it in this article.
So apart from this, apart from the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, we have Mega Food Park scheme also, where we are providing state-of-the-art infrastructure for food processing industries to further enhance the value of the agricultural produce. So right now in India, we have 23 operational food parks in operation and working. So here, food processing industry is firstly when we're talking about the backward linkages. So it creates again a demand for the agricultural produce. So it is linked to the growth of even the agriculture sector also. And when we are talking about the withdrawal of the again disguisedly employed farmers in the agriculture sector, because then food processing industry would be creating more jobs also. So a few of the again we can talk about the large scale and the successful models which are there in India from the perspective of the private sector. We have Nestle India, we have ITC, we have again Britannia Industries there, Parley Agro. So these are certain examples. And when we're talking about the forward linkages, so in that case, food processing industry is directly linked to the growth and the expansion of the FMCG sector, the fast moving consumer goods sector. So here in this case, we've talked about the safety standards is very important. We need to ensure that the proper nutritional details they are mentioned and they're firstly adhered to also. So the concerns related to rising non-communicable diseases, obesity, or related to the high fat, sugar, and salt content in the food. Then from the positive perspective, we talk. So it is important for addressing nutritional security. So that's important. And even MSME sector's growth somewhere is linked to the food processing industry. So right now they're contributing 10% of India's GDP, and we can say that creates directly or indirectly multiple jobs. So from small scale to large scale, both are operating in India, and the growth is also related to rising disposable income of the people. Then urbanization has led to more demand, expanding middle class in India. And also we have launched PLI scheme for the food processing industry. So that's to provide them with financial incentives on incremental output. But right now, challenges are like infrastructural gap in the form of uh, there are certain supply chain issues. So to address them, we have created mega food parks, cold storage facilities. Still, we do not have adequate capacity. Then we see like food wastage is happening. Then quality control I just mentioned. So here, role of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is very crucial. We need to ensure that we are meeting the international standards. And when we are talking about the exports, so there lies these the sanitary and the phytosanitary measures. So they are brought as like the concerns related to them, and the exports are rejected. Then fragmented market in terms of food processing industry, and direct we can say making the agricultural supply chain also more seamless.
Should children be barred from social media? So, the Australian Prime Minister he announced a plan to set a minimum age to use social media platforms, and he talks about large increase in time spent by children online, and along with recognition that some children are exposed to harm via social media. So the government has been put under pressure to demand the technology platforms which have been set up and assume responsibility for keeping the children safe online. And if children are banned from these spaces, companies they would also have a less of an imperative to design platforms for young children. So talking about age limits, um, in India, we have Personal Data Protection Act 2023, which says that children can access any platform which collects their personal data only after they get verified via parental consent. And the issue is that how can we implement this? And bans, they are more hard to enforce in digital environment. इसके अलावा So there was a survey of 10,000 children in Tier 1 and 2 and Tier 3 cities in government schools in Delhi, which found that 80% of the children, they help their parents navigate the online platforms. So to expect parents to guide children on a safe online usage does not really make sense. And if you look at NSSO data, only 40% Indians, they know how to copy or move files on a computer. So we need to think about the responsibility platforms, uh, what responsibilities the platform need to take, and what kind of design changes they need to make to ensure the safety of children online. And the research it also shows that when a parent is able to support their child to really maximize benefits of being online, we can also work to mitigate the harms. Apart from that, as a part of the core curriculum, the children they should be taught how to be more resilient online. And since we teach the children about good touch, bad touch, and how to be safe in the physical world, but we forget about the social media world. And
And like we've talked about previously, also that the Western world they talk about age gating of the social media platforms, giving more or increasing the parental control. So in similar lines, we have seen recently Instagram has also done some changes in the similar direction. And the challenges that again children face. So यहाँ पे आपने बैड टच गुड टच की बात करी, बट वो डिजिटल वर्ल्ड वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड में कैसे एप्लीकेबल होगा एक वो क्वेश्चन है. बट यहाँ पे we talk about the challenges. So cyber bullying is one challenge, so directly related to the mental health issues, or you can say rising incidents of even suicides, or it is a completely virtual world. So children, they start associating again things with that virtual world, that they are actually true, things actually happen in that manner in real life. Or when we start having or shaping our expectations related to, say, the success in life, that easing money, like earning money is very easy, or it can be done, large amount of money can be earned in a very short time period. So again, blanket ban is also not the best approach to solve these issues at the same time. So we need to create more awareness regarding reporting of such crimes, and even regulation of social media platforms is important. Right now they are regulated by self-regulatory organizations. So we are having the options of reporting, or the even the menace of misinformation and disinformation, that also leads to a great impact on the mental health. So these are certain areas related to it.
Also have models from around the world, which talks about age appropriate design code in the UK. So that has had a real impact on platform. So they've made changes so children have better default settings when they join the platform and are exposed to minimum risk. Harappan civilization. So 100 years ago, there was an article which was published uh, containing explosive news about first light on the long forgotten civilization, and it was authored by John Marshall. He announced discovery of the civilization of the Indus Valley. So this Bronze Age civilization is also called the Harappan civilization, which is named after Harappa, which is a site in Pakistan. It was the first site to be discovered. And for the past 10 years, the Harappan civilization, it has mesmerized people because of the town planning it had and the structures that were found. Harvesting water, building reservoirs and warehouses, underground systems, massive fortification walls and buildings, seafaring boats, fabricating bronze, copper artifacts that were found. And so, talks to a SI archaeologist, they discovered and they first excavated Harappa in 1921-22, and they found seals, painted potteries, and beads. And the key figures were Rakhal Das, Banerjee. And then we talk about Harappan civilization. So it can be divided into an early phase, mature period, and the late phase. So the early phase was from 3200 BC to 2600 BC. The mature period was from 2600 BC